Right. I think we've done everything we can here. Let's leave, before whatever actually caused this comes back for seconds. Let's go. I'm sure that the Thalmor will be quite delighted to hear that the Imperials have lost themselves a whole garrison town. But something tells me they already know. I'm sure news of this has probably spread like wildfire throughout the entire province. A whole town being burned to the ground is not insignificant. Now, the question is, if it was indeed a dragon that we heard, how will it factor into my plans? Probably not much. I mean, as long as we stay quite far away from any place that's currently being burned by those reptiles, we shouldn't have any problem. I don't think that a lone mer or his companions will matter to these gargantuan things, right? Unless you're specifically being targeted by them. But then why would one person matter, right? Yes, we are just a tiny dot in a sea of anonymous men and mer. As long as we keep our eyes to the sky, we should be fine. Now, enough of dragons. There are far too many problems here on the ground to worry about. Alright. Damn this mist. It's making reading the map hard. If we follow this road, it should lead us to that village. Riverwatch, I think. Riverwood. Something of the sort. That should be the place where I can find this Dominion asset. Then we can add one more member to our merry little band. And look, standing stones. And 3 of them. All bunched together. Warrior stone, mage stone, thief stone. Well, it's quite obvious to see what we will pick. A warrior stone. After all, swordsmanship in the classroom and in the academy is different from actual battlefield skill. And we are very, very rusty. We're going to have to start learning again. Which is fine. These old bones, leathery sinews need to be exercised, or they'll just decay into nothing. What's this? Some sort of side trail. According to the map, it's a mine. Perhaps there's still some ore. That should be useful. Hello there. Is this your mine? It's a tricky way of playing with words. Is it yours or is it mine? Oh.
Now ain't this a surprise?
It's not really a surprise. Alright. Stop attacking my dog! It's very rude. Nico, are you alright? Oh, you're fine. Perhaps I overreacted. Apologies. So if there was a sentry outside, Does that mean that there are more of them? What do you think, Lucien? Can the two of us, strapping young warriors both, hope to take on a looming bandit stronghold? Of course, we come with our valiant animal companion. Perhaps we should be more prudent and find our friend in Riverwood. Come on, Lucien, my brave legionnaire. I really wish it should last a bit longer. What a thick mist. You don't suppose that the dragon caused this mist to come? Can't be. Those things are powerful, but they can't be that powerful. I mean, who could be that powerful to influence the weather? Alright. There we go. That didn't take too long. Riverwood. Yes, indeed. A milling town right by the river. Very imaginative affiliation. Alright. Collection of little hovels. Are you the watchman?
Faendal thinks he can woo Camilla Valerius away from me. She's already mine, I keep telling him.
Yes, I'm sure she is. I'd have to inform you that there's a dragon that attacked Helgen, apparently.
Truly? So maybe my mother isn't crazy after all. You had best tell the Jarl in Whiterun. He needs to know about this.
The Jarl? Oh, the local overlord. Fine. Is there somewhere here where I can buy fresh supplies?
Lucan's got a little bit of everything at the Riverwood Trader. If you need weapons or armor, see Alvor, the blacksmith.
Thank you. Riverwood Trader. Why does that sound familiar? Fortunately, we arrived rather late. Let's try to find some lodgings, Lucien. Then we can begin our search of this place tomorrow.
Orgnar.
Well,
Orgnar, are
at
you
least this
listening?
place looks cozy.
The ale is going bad. We need to get a new batch.
Hello.
Did you hear me?
Yep, ale's going bad.
Lucien,
I guess you don't have potatoes in your ears.
we'll be
after
staying here for the
Just
night.
make sure we get a fresh
I
batch
trust you
of
can
soup.
find your own
Welcome.
accommodations.
Let me know if you want it.
Right you are, boss. Let me know if you need anything else.
New batch of
Nico,
like we talked about.
just
We have
wait here,
in the
boy.
barrel for over a month.
Yep.
Wait, let me guess. You'll get to it later.
Don't I always?
I don't suppose I could convince you to take care of it now, could I?
No.
I should have guessed.
As much as this little banter is entertaining, I have to disturb you.
You're that visitor been poking around.
I don't know what you mean. I've only just arrived here. I would like to rent a room for the night.
Sure thing. It's yours for a day.
Yes. Aren't you going to show me the way to my room? No? Alright. Are you new to this innkeeping business? I assume we can just take any room. Alright. This should be sufficient. At least it doesn't smell like anybody's been lying here for the past hour. So, let's take stock. We've lost our son, but we've gained a new companion.
Certainly.
Mr. Flavius. Lucien Flavius. Far as I can tell, there's no such name in any of the Dominion lists. So I'm fairly sure he's not a Dominion target or an Imperial agent. But that could be wrong. For all we know, he was just enlisted. But I think it's safe to say that he's probably who he says he is. From what I've seen, the boy has quite a lot of potential. He can be anything he wants, being the clay that he is. Warrior, mage, with the proper training, with the right teacher, he can excel. And of course, I am the best teacher. Look at me. I'm already replacing him. I don't think I can trust Lucien with my life yet, but, well, I shouldn't treat him as someone I can use in my plans. But I think we can rely on each other to keep each one alive. That's as far as our partnership goes. He's not my follower. We are just fellow travelers, going in the same direction. All right. It's late. Let's get ourselves some sleep. We have a long day tomorrow. But then again, who can tell? Well,
Oh, damn leg's playing up. I should see a healer one of these days.
isn't this the popular place? Then again, with the size of this town, it's no wonder. You were the one talking.
Ah, another stranger passing through Riverwood. Off on the next adventure, hmm?
Well, you could say that.
Fair enough. But if you're seeking excitement and riches, this ain't the place, I'm afraid. Riverwood does have its charms, but I imagine they're not quite what you're looking for.
And how would you know what I'm looking for, eh? Though actually, I'm just passing through. The Jarl needs to hear about what happened in Helgen.
Ah, yes. Worried faces have been rushing by, with hushed whispers of another catastrophe on the horizon. Old Hilda says she even saw a dragon. Strange days indeed, but the world will sort itself out in the end. It always does.
And what, pray tell, brought you to Riverwood?
Here's the same as anywhere else, I suppose. Why not?
You just don't seem, you know.
The Riverwood type? It's okay, stranger. I know what you mean. You're correct. I am no farmhand or errand boy. I am, or was, a soldier. But that life is behind me now. I've taken a few beatings in my time.
Sounds like you have a story that you wish to tell.
You've got a good sense for it, that's for sure. I can tell you, if you'd like. But let's get somewhere more comfortable first. Come, follow me.
Yes. follow you.
I do apologize for the pace. My leg isn't quite what it used to be.
Yes.
There we go.
Yes, we walked far. You were saying...
Let's make this absolutely clear. I don't know who you are or how you found me, but if you try anything, I will kill you. The Dominion pays well, of that I have no doubt. But even a cripple can still hold a blade.
I don't suppose I could convince you to take care of it now.
You think I'm with the Thalmor?
Well,
Is this some jest?
to be said for
Get you,
honesty.
elf? You seem like you've strolled right out of Alinor. Keep your hands where I can see them, and you might get out of this alive. None of that magic stuff either.
Stand down, soldier. I don't serve the Dominion. At least, not anymore.
By what right do you invoke rank, stranger? What do you know of war and sacrifice?
Every day is a battle. I go where the road takes me.
Fair enough. But if you haven't chosen a side yet, you will soon. No one will be able to escape the coming war. But you seem like an alright sort. Come, let's grab a seat and I can tell you anything you want. Frankly,
You already have a seat.
my leg has started acting up again.
Alright, now he actually walks. Have a care, my friend. Interesting.
What I would
man.
give to see her again.
Surely is an enemy of the Thalmor. And as I've said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Probably. Am I that large? Alright, speak.
I hope you'll not begrudge a veteran for being careful, but it pays to look out for one's enemies, no matter how long it's been.
You don't think you were being a bit paranoid? Drawing your sword and all?
No. If there's anything I know for certain, it's that the Thalmor never forget those who cross them.
That is
Even
true.
a sleepy village like Riverwood can attract unwanted attention, if you're not careful.
Yes. And what did you do to the Dominion that was so horrible?
The better question is, what didn't we do? I'm from a small hamlet on the edge of Alakir. Conditions could be worse than Morrowinds at times, but it was honest, and life made sense.
You sound like you miss it.
But there's too much bad blood there now. Too many bad memories. Not just me, but for us all.
What changed then?
The Dominion, of course.
Of course.
I was still half a boy at that age. Bull-headed, rash. But I wanted to make a difference. Help the fight against elven supremacy. Thalmor forces were already in Hammerfell before the Great War had officially started, so I began working with a local band across the Alakir. Must have been quite a shock to the elves, to come from lush grasslands and comfort to nothing but desolate wastes as far as the eye can see. Lutes and poetry weren't going to be much help there. There's an old saying that the sands swallow all. We'd use the storms to cover our approach, and strike quickly before they had a chance to react. Most of us were just pulled from local settlements. Men and women that had been thrown into warfare with only basic martial training. But we made it work. Fought as hard as anything to keep our home.
And were you successful?
For a time, we had some close calls, and magic is always an unknown in combat. But we fought hard, won a few victories, even joined a battle near the entrance of Montelion. That was chaos if I ever saw it. Soon enough, the locals who had barely learned to hold the right end of a blade were veterans, forged through blood and war.
You must have been proud.
Of course, we might not have known each other at the start, but going through that together brought a kind of bond. A mutual understanding of everything we'd been through and faced.
And what happened next?
Good soldiers are worth their weight in gold. Soon enough, we went our separate ways, summoned off to different patrols. The war was gripping all of Tamriel by this point, and even the nobles understood that we couldn't be getting much help from the outside. I had taken a poison arrow during one of the last night raids, and was recovering in Sentinel. A short respite from battle, but a welcome one. As any soldier can tell you, you take whatever sleep you can get. A lot of wounded in the city, but the guard kept it together, and the Dominion off our backs.
But that wasn't the end for you, was it?
No. In fact, it was quite the opposite. While recovering and visiting some friends, I was approached by one of the forebearers. The siege had recently been broken, and finally it seemed like the two were going to get their heads out of the sand. She was old blood, respected in the city, and as a joint effort with the Crowns, they organized a war band. By Satakal, it seemed someone got the idea that I should be picked to lead them.
That's quite an offer.
It was. Something like that doesn't come around every day. Strictly need to know, armed with the best gear Hammerfell Gold could buy, to strike fear in any who dared to cross into our lands.
And you accepted this offer?
Of course. I may have been injured, but those few weeks hadn't made me go soft. I was eager to get back into the field and tear the Dominion a new one. Shook hands, and the next day I went to meet them. My people. We met in an old ruin beneath the city, only a few guards on hand. Introductions were made, plans laid out, and we toasted, even as Dominion spells pummeled the gates outside. As for my fellows, well, I could tell we were going to get along just fine. We headed out next morning.
What were they like?
Some of the finest men and women I've ever known. War has a tendency to make or break a person, but these ones... I don't know if you fought in a war, traveler. Real war. But if you're lucky, every once in a while, you'll come into contact with someone who just has it. Skill, luck, bit of the gods on their side. I don't know, but each and every one of them was like fury itself in battle. We were the very best Hammerfell had to offer, and we were going to make Thalmor pay their tribute in blood.
I'm sure you would have. Tell me more about them.
Our frontal team was led by an enormous Pomarat, gold flecks tinting a mane that had been decades in the making.
Cat.
From what I've heard, they're a rare sight outside of the Khajiit's homeland. But if you saw him fight, you'd understand why I was glad to have him on our side. A lot of great warriors out there, but few would dare risk locking blades with someone like him. More than once, he'd lean forward and sink his fangs into the enemy's face. Rip their throat out, even. The Thalmor never saw it coming. Outside of battle, though, Saja was a quiet one. He was content to keep watch while the rest of us slept, meditating under the moons.
And who else? Is there anyone else who was an exception?
Alongside Saja and I, there was an old man, Orlund, disgraced son of one of the minor houses, or some such thing. It didn't seem to matter to him, of course, and certainly not us, but by the sands could that man fight. The art has been lost to history for as long as anyone can remember, but he captured even the smallest fragment of what the Arnshai once were.
A
Sword singers. Never seen anyone before or since handle a blade quite like he could. The damn fool could be grouchy, and wave take you if you interrupted his battle preparations. But he was a dear friend. Not content to live out his days in bed, he fought to the last.
And the others?
With the three of us diving into the thick of it, we had support from all sides to protect our flank. First was the Bosmer, Niels. I've never been to Valenwood, but the way he held a bow was a work of art. He was small, but he could use that to his advantage, dropping down before a patrol even had a chance to react. Before he'd even touched the ground, 3 arrows would find their mark. But he was always disappointed it couldn't be 4. A bit mad. He loved taking scalps wherever he could, but he moved like water and saved our hides on more than one occasion. Next was Kara, Altamar battle mage.
An Altma? Now that's surprising.
Yes, surprising, no? Fate must have had a sense of humor, sending someone of that caliber into the arms of the Resistance. She could tear any of her kin apart with a spell, and took pleasure in it too. Kara never told us what had brought her from Alinor, but then again, we never asked. She was a firebrand, all right, and gods protect you if you said anything about her heritage or homeland.
Of course. But you tolerated her all the same.
Of course. She made her allegiance clear from the moment we met, and we never had any reason to doubt her. It was always very matter-of-fact with her. Anything that needed to be done, got done. She'd crawl out of oblivion itself if it'd get her home back.
That's the High Elves for you. Was there anyone else?
There was Sunvar. I suppose you'd call him our healer, although he personally hated the term.
Sunvar.
Sure, he knew some restoration magic and could whip up a poultice in the field, but his real skill laid in alchemy. More than once, we'd stop on the road only to find that he wandered off to collect supplies a few leagues back. Oils, poison, explosives, you name it. He had a knack for the stuff, surprising for a Nord. But that was our merry band all around, wasn't it? Finally, there was Tanwyn, the only one I knew before the war, but I would prefer not to speak of her.
All right, I'll take your word for it. That's quite the party.
We were a family, of sorts. Any commander can send new blood to their death. I suppose it was a luxury that I could come to know them at all. Trust them. Madness had brought us together, but they were all good people. Honest. Even under difficult conditions, there was never a shred of doubt. I've been fortunate to fight alongside people I'd gladly die for. Even more so, to have walked away from that war at all.
And what about your objectives?
It was simple, really. Disrupt Dominion activities wherever we could. At first it was mostly helping protect the roads and the occasional emissary. As the war progressed, we were given more specific tasks. Sabotage and the like. Extinguishing fires, slitting throats as the Thalmor slept, and disappear before the first light. Soon enough, a bit of a legend began to develop. The ghosts of Ban Karai, deadly wraiths waiting in the reaches of the Alakir.
Did you like the name? To be called a ghost?
I believe it was the locals that had started the tale. A superstition after patrols no doubt failed to return. It was all nonsense, of course, but as far as we were concerned, anything to shake the Dominion's resolve had its uses. No one, no matter how skilled at tracking, knows the wastes better than my people, and we used that to our advantage. But we referred to ourselves by our own name. Enough time has passed that the name is now only that, but once the Resistance only had to utter it to make captured spies cave.
A reputation that was well deserved, I take it.
We weren't suited to attrition or open warfare. Thousands and thousands charging at each other in an open plain. Our strengths lay in quick, ruthless attacks. Give everything we had and move out before any scouts nearby showed. A fireball to scatter mounted soldiers, arrows from an elevated point. Then the rest of us moved in to clear up. The Thalmor showed no mercy, so why would we show them any in return?
Of course. You did what was needed to be done. There's no shame in that.
You understand. Good. Hesitation, empathy. All these things are luxuries. Perhaps things could have gone a different way, but we did what we needed to do. Only nobles in their comfortable manners have the time to debate right and wrong. The rest of us just have to live with it.
But you continued to fight.
Yes. By then it seemed like all Tamriel had fought to a standstill, but the war just dragged on. Our party was moving around Hammerfell more freely, but we could only be in one place at a time. Let one village burn so you can help protect another. Assault a war party or keep the Thalmor scouts blind. 100 lives or 1,000? Simple choices, but so much more to consider. In any case, that's how it was. One morning, we must have been camped by a small oasis. A rider came charging up. We received letters from Sentinel and other cities before, of course, but this was unexpected.
What did it say, this letter?
We had been ordered to a small village on the border with Cyrodiil to await members of the Dominion Command passing through. Our contact was a bard of all things, a young Imperial woman by the name of Lavella Diantis. She had been scouting the place out before our arrival.
You must have been very wary of walking into a trap at this point.
Of course, but the letter was legitimate, and we weren't exactly in a position to refuse with a war going on. Within a couple of days, we had left the wastes of the Alakir behind us and headed for greener pastures.
And what happened next?
When we arrived, it was late at night, but that gave us a bit of time to check the place out. Calling it a village was certainly generous. It was more of a loose collection of hovels than anything else.
Like this place?
A couple of houses, a rundown farm on the eastern edges, and your typical tavern to pull it together. Nothing out of the ordinary. Next morning, we headed in and visited the tavern. Our illustrious contact was dressed in finery, playing to bleary-eyed peasants. It was all very surreal.
What were they like?
Mostly farmers. They appeared to tolerate Diantis' presence as long as she steered clear enough to let them drink in peace. I don't know much about Lucien singing, but she was clearly skilled. Why it was her, someone who'd draw the attention of everyone within 100 leagues as our contact, though, was beyond me. Anyway, despite some misgivings, there was no sign of the Dominion, and the innkeeper's family were decent folk as we settled in.
So, did this Livella have any useful information?
Surprisingly, yes. The letter did turn up something we could use. Diantis told us that a group of emissaries and nobility from Alinor had been traveling with a larger force through the east of Hammerfell. However, the force had split off to move into Skyrim, so these nobles were moving to an encampment in southern Cyrodiil, right into our path.
A good opportunity for some payback, I guess.
Exactly. And after trudging through the desert, each and every one of us was eager to take that opportunity.
I can imagine.
Diantis was eager to get it done and leave the place, but we enjoyed some brief respite. Each day we checked the roads, using the woods to stay unseen. Then, well, the time finally came.
And what happened next?
As I said, the village was no fortress. There were some makeshift stables that could provide cover from arrows, but not a whole lot else. Most of the villagers heeded my warning and left before the Dominion arrived, but the innkeeper was stubborn. Said that he wouldn't move, even if Baal himself was coming. We decided that the best way to draw them out would be to stage an attack in the woods and bring them into the village. Close quarters would be our advantage, and hopefully give us enough time to deal with any spells. Diantis volunteered to play victim of a bandit attack, a little too eagerly, actually, but she was our best hope for getting their attention. All that was left to do was move into position. I waited inside the inn with Saja and Sunvar to play the part of drunken bandits, getting fat off the latest raid and hopefully enough to get the Dominion's attention.
And what about the others?
Arlund was dressed as a blind old traveler, nursing a drink on the ground just outside with Nillis on the roof or the stables nearby. Kara had a Justicar's outfit, so would move in with the rest of the group as they approached the village. Tanwin, well, she wanted to sit by me, act as the concubine to my dastardly bandit leader.
So, did your plan work?
No. Almost from the moment we put it into motion, things began to spin out of control. We had assumed that, once we got their attention, the group would move into the village as one. The Altimer work as single parties. They're not suited to scouting or smaller warbands. They used the Barsmur Khajiit for that. Numbers weren't a problem provided we could use the surroundings to our advantage. But it was going to be a tough fight. You can imagine what it was like when 2 Justicars rode in ahead of the group, just as we were getting ready.
What did you do then?
The only thing we could do. Stick to the plan and hope that Diantis would draw in the rest of them. All of us knew the risks, knew what we were in for. But when the two Justicars walked in, no one dared to even breathe.
Why didn't you just kill them and be done with it?
I certainly considered it, but had they managed to get a spell off, it would scatter the rest of the group. Or at the very least, it would blow our disguises trying to deal with the bodies. It wasn't easy, but we had to keep going. The innkeeper could tell something was wrong, but served up the Justicar some drinks. With Satakal's eyes on our side, they'd soon leave or be too drunk to react when we did attack. But those two elves... they decided to come and sit with us instead.
Oh, a turn for the worse.
I could see that Tanwin wanted to reach across and throttle them. The Justicars just sat down and struck up a conversation. I remember I kept looking between the door, straining to hear any movement outside, and Saja, who had one hand on their blade. But the Justicars just sat there, ordering more drinks. Maybe they could see we were on edge. Perhaps they just didn't care. Either way, we weren't going anywhere.
So how did you get out of this rather sticky mess?
The innkeeper was ready to move at a moment's notice, but the Altima didn't budge. Those of us inside the kept up the act as the Justicars continued to drink and drink. We might have been able to kill them, but it was too much of a risk. Suddenly we heard the bulk of the group moving in. It seemed Diantis had kept her word after all. With no sign of Nilus or Kara, I assumed they were in position and ready to go. The group had arrived, and after a brief pause, a few of the nobles walked in, ordering some wine that the innkeeper had prepared for them especially. They glanced at Saja out of curiosity, but there was no sign they recognized us.
What about the two sitting at your table? Weren't they already stinking drunk at this time?
They were well and truly drunk by that point, having a jest with Sunvar, who was just staring at them, his jaw clenched. The Dominion relaxed, and I could even hear one of the guards outside talking with Arlund.
And what happened next?
A Justicar on the table opposite sat down and pulled down her hood, revealing Kara beneath. She was anxious, but there was no way we could talk without drawing unwanted attention. Something was wrong, and we were in deep. It was going to get bloody. The only question was when.
But you still had the advantage, didn't you? Surprise.
Maybe, but it had been a mistake to draw the Altmer into the tavern. I, had underestimated what they'd do. Still, we sat there until one of the nobles came shambling over and started flirting with Tanwin. Clearly they thought we were simple travelers, and thought to buy a night with her using gold. I kept up the gruff bandit act, giving him some excuse that she was mine or whatever. But he kept pushing. Tanwin was so tense I thought she was about to snap, but brushed it off. Until the noble leaned forward and put his hand on her thigh. Tanwin pushed him off of her in disgust, and suddenly, everyone was on their feet.
And what happened next? I really hope that there's something going to happen next.
I've been lucky enough to walk away from many situations that would have killed another, but nothing could prepare someone for something like that. Perhaps it was our fault for not moving sooner, for not calling the whole thing off. Perhaps it had been doomed from the start. But it doesn't matter. It was too late. The Thalmor were ready to go, the noble indignant at some dog and his whore for refusing the likes of him. There was no turning back. 3 arrows came tearing through the open windows, hitting the drunks and then the noble, right through the throat. As everyone drew their weapons, I threw my weight forwards, flipping the table onto its side as a bolt of electricity crackled against it. That damn innkeeper had managed to time his throws with Kara, using some cheap bottles to throw on the elves while she followed up with a fireball. As the smell of burnt flesh assailed us, Tanwin and I leapt out of the nearest window, with Saja, bloody and enraged, not far behind.
How many were there?
It was better than I was expecting, worse than I hoped. Arlund stood over 2 soldiers that had been standing guard, but more Thalmor were already running towards us. I could see Nilus on the roof nearby picking off as many as he could, but we were going to be overrun, and there was only one way out. Sunvar stepped out, his hands bloodied from beating one of the drunkard's skulls, with the wounded innkeeper in tow. The heat from behind us was overwhelming, but we drew our weapons to meet the oncoming horde.
The final stand.
I wish it had been. There was no way we'd be able to make it to the trees, and the horses the Dominion had arrived on were long gone. We stood back to back, but it was not enough. Our Lund was the first to fall, an arrow through the shoulder, and then a charger's sword. One of the battle mages collapsed the roof under Nillis, and I heard him cry as the soldiers moved in. Sunvar, he fought through the pain, wielding whatever he could get after losing his weapon. He fell with his kinsman, the innkeeper, teeth clenched into blinding fury as he pushed his fingers as far as he could into a noble's eye sockets. Tanwin and I were protecting each other's flanks, our sabers bloodied by elven filth. But no matter how hard we fought, it wasn't enough. One by one, I watched my party die, even as more of the Dominion poured into the village ruins. Saja, right until the end, fought like one of the gods themselves. Warhammer, claws, teeth, whatever that damn Khajiit could do. But one of the Justicars blinded him with a flask, and a group of them managed to overwhelm Kara before she could help.
Watching your friends die like that, I can't imagine.
Nor should you. Command is difficult, but we weren't just some garrison out in the wilderness. We were friends, and their deaths are on my hands.
And how did you yourself manage to survive?
Bloodied and near collapsing from exhaustion, I could see some of the Ultimate commanders just standing there on the edge of the village, waiting for us to either submit or die, and could no longer fight. Tanwin, she tried to pull my broken arse back to safety, but one of the elves ran her through when her back was turned. The sound of combat died away, and for a few moments we just lay there on the ground, waiting for the end to come. My apologies, traveler. I need a moment, and a drink.
Well, that was indeed quite the tale. By all rights, I should murder the man. At the very least, put an end to his misery. But I think letting his life linger is punishment enough. But then what do I care? I'm no longer with the Thalmor, no longer with the Dominion. Why should I be involved at this point? What would it give me to murder an old veteran? Where did he go? Where has he gone off to? Huh.
A dragon! I saw a dragon!
Yes, that's
What is it
old
now, Mother?
news.
It was as big as the mountain and black as night.
Huh.
It flew right over the barrow.
In any case...
Dragons now, is it? Please, Mother. If you keep on like this...
Hello there, friend.
Greetings, Brother Elf. Good to see a familiar face so far from home.
Yes, indeed.
It'll kill us all and
As I could say with you, Agent Feindal. of the Bosmer regulars of Valenwood. The Dominion requires your services. Am I hearing this right? You don't want to go back into my service before you fix this problem with your paramour. And what is this problem with this Sven that you keep on ranting about?
He's a bard, so he says. Occasionally he finds time to do his job here at the mill. Thinks his ballads and sonnets are going to convince Camilla Valerius to marry him. As if she would say yes. An intelligent, beautiful woman like her wouldn't fall for that nonsense. I hope.
You hope. You should be more decisive, you know.
I've been thinking. Maybe Camilla needs a little help seeing Sven for what he is. Could you give her this letter and say it's from Sven? I think I've matched that Nord's lack of cleverness perfectly.
Alright, fine. But if I do this little favor for you, you will give me your loyalty and your service, as per your duty. Or by the gods, I will... Fine. To act as liaison for this Bosmer, really. For here.
Well, one of us has to do something.
I said no. No adventures, no theatrics, no thief chasing.
Well, what are you going to do then, huh? Let's hear it.
We are done talking about this. Oh, a customer. Sorry you had to hear that.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you overheard, but the Riverwood Trader is still open. Feel free to shop.
Yes, I'm a traveling merchant myself. I have things to sell and trade.
Take a look.
All right. Some may call this junk, but I say they are no less than treasures. Might as well take this. And these, whatever they are. Alright. So, out with it. Did something happen?
Yeah, we did have a bit of a break-in, but we still have plenty to sell. Robbers were only after one thing.
Robbers.
An ornament, solid gold in the shape of a dragon's claw.
I could probably help you get the claw back. If you can guarantee a reward, that is.
You could? I've got some coin coming in from my last shipment. It's yours if you bring my claw back. Now,
That's what I wanted to hear.
You should head to Bleak Falls Barrow, northwest of town.
So this is your plan, Lucien?
Yes. So now you don't have to go, do you?
Oh, really? Well, I think your new helper here needs a guide.
No, by the 8, fine. But only to the edge of town.
Good then. Guess this gives us some time alone.
We have to go through town and across the bridge to get to Bleak Falls Barrow.
It's nighttime
You can
already.
see it from here, though. The mountain just over the buildings.
That was really a long story.
Those thieves must be mad hiding out there. Those old crypts are filled with nothing but traps, trolls, and who knows what else.
Perhaps we could quicken the pace. Where did that red card go? I still actually want to know what happened at the very end.
I wonder why they only stole
How
Lucan's
did he
golden
manage to
claw.
survive?
I mean, we have plenty of things in the shop that are worth just as much coin.
What happened?
Lucan found the claw about a year after he opened the store.
Whatever.
He never quite explained where he got it. He's a tricky one.
Yes, take your time. It's not like I'm waiting for you or anything. I don't mind. So many stars. At least that's something we can appreciate here. Yes. Yes, we can. Well, I can say at least Bosmer has good taste. She is pleasing.
This is the bridge out of town.
For an
The path up the
Imperial.
mountain to the northwest leads to Bleak Falls Barrow. I guess I should get back to my brother. He'll throw a fit if I take too long. Such a child.
Yes, indeed. So,
Mara bless you for agreeing to help us.
yes, indeed. And how much farther do I have to walk to get to this barrow?
Well, it's a winding road up the mountain just ahead. You'll know you're in the right place once you spot the old watchtower. Once you get to the tower, head north. Bleak Falls Barrow should be just around the corner further up.
All right. Oh, I have a letter for you here. From Sven, I believe.
Another poem, I bet. He does know how to make a girl blush.
Indeed.
What's this? If that oaf thinks all I'm going to do is stay in that filthy house of his and clean,
Oh,
You can tell Sven that he already has a mother. I'm not speaking to him anymore.
good for you.
Good luck. Lucan and I will be waiting for you back in the shop.
Yes, indeed. Have to say, Agent Feindal, I'm impressed at your skill in subterfuge. Where is he?
How's about it?
Agent Feindal?
Tell me as soon as you've given Camilla the letter.
Oh, don't worry. I don't think your Camilla will be spending any more time with this Sven.
I appreciate your help. Please, take this. Some gold I've saved up from working at the mill.
That's not necessary, Agent. As I said, I need your services, and I need them now.
Lead the way.
Good. Very good. Now, Agent Feindal.
I'm right behind you.
Yes. And I'd like to inform you that the Riverwood trader, you probably don't know, but it's part of the Imperial Intelligence Network. Yes, Agent Feindal. Your lovely Camilla is probably an Empire agent. And you know what happens to Dominion assets that consort with Imperial intelligence? You'd be liable to get shifted somewhere, and not somewhere pleasant like this Riverwood of yours. You might get sent to somewhere like, Atmora. You know, where rocks can't survive. But since I'm a kind officer, I'll keep this to myself. As long as I can be guaranteed your total loyalty. Am I clear?
Let me know if there's anything else you need.
Good. All things considered, I think that everything turned out well. A Dominion sleeper agent among the hunters, a Red Guard renegade as one of the drunks. What else is there here in this sleepy town? Oh, wait. Probably a Blades agent hiding in this inn.